Welcome to Hypnotherapy Professional College, Lesson 1, Resistance to Results, Explanation of 21 Result Principles, written by Dr. Jennifer Alexander, presented by Sheila Nielsen. What are the resistance to result principles? They are 21 result principles that are based on our resistance. They're created by Jennifer Alexander to help people understand and begin to grow their personal growth journey. The principles are outlined of where we can begin, what we should look at, how to look within, how to hear and recognize our self-talk and what it is saying to us. This course is the beginning of our personal development journey towards self-discovery, learning how to personally develop, learning how to find more happiness and joy in our life. We're going to begin our journey by being able to listen to our self-talk, by being able to hear the way that we should be conducting our lives, by the way that we're supposed to be learning and living our lives in integrity and dignity and truth, and understanding why we have the behavior that we have. This is a level 1 to your personal journey. The next course after this journey will be self-talk and how to reframe it. After you've completed this course of the 21 principles, there's an exercise that you can download as well to help to understand why we have the behaviors we have, what the vicious circle means, what does it mean when we have expectations, and what does it do to our self-talk and our behavior? Where does anger come from? What is shame and guilt? We look forward to you coming on our journey of personal development and self-talk. I hope you enjoy these workshops. The first exercise will be to go ahead and download the 21 result principles and go ahead and take in a deep breath and think about what that principle means to you when you read it. Does it bring up resistance? Do you put a different meaning to it? What does it actually mean? So what I want you to do is go ahead and read the 21 result principles and put a check mark where you believe that you're already living your life like that and you understand the principle, or put an X if that's somewhere that you have to work on, something you have to be more aware of what you're doing. And then once you're completed that, then please proceed with the result principle exercises and PowerPoints. At the end of it, then go ahead and take another look at what you put a check mark and an X beside once I give the explanations of each principle. I hope you enjoy the first part of our personal journey with you. Principle number 1. I know I am a storytelling machine. My mind is always seeking to understand every aspect of my life, past, present, and future. I recognize my understanding is not based upon what actually happened, but is rather based upon my past conditioning of how I perceive the situation. Non-supportive stories create resistance within me. Supportive stories create positive results. This saying alone, what does it mean to you? I know I'm a storytelling machine. What this actually means is that when we were young and growing up, our childhood development or different situations that happened to us created stories that we then deposited into our subconscious mind, and we believe that they are the true stories. But what actually happened is whatever our memory is of an event is attached to an emotion. And whatever that emotion is how the story is created, or the end of the story. So if you had a traumatic event in your childhood and there was fear attached as the emotion, then that event that would have happened to you was very traumatic and created fear in you. Your mind is always seeking to understand the past, present, and the future. It's only understanding it based on the emotion you had with the memory attached to it. When recognizing that there's a positive and a negative response is where the resistance is created. So if your story is that I was on the dock when I was a kid and my brother pushed me off the dock and I almost drowned, then you could deposit stories such as being on a dock is dangerous. My brother is always trying to kill me. My brother was always trying to hurt me. When really the true story might have been that you're just playing on the dock with your brother and you fell in or he pushed you in, not thinking that that would create terror in you, just thinking that he was roughhousing around with you as a kid. So that is a brief explanation of I know I'm a storytelling machine, but just understand that based on what the story is or what you believe the story is what creates resistance in us to move forward, to get past the fear or the abandonment or the anger. So we have to go back and look at what some of the stories are. Some of the best way to do that is through guided meditation, hypnosis, hypnotherapy, depending on what the situation is. Result principle number 2. Nothing means anything but the meaning I give it. I choose the meaning I give to my experiences. Nobody is in control of my thoughts but me. This is true now and always has been. Other people may influence my thoughts, but I'm the only one that makes the final decision. Because I've chosen every meaning I've ever placed on anything, I can re-choose the meaning that support me now so that I can create positive results in my life. This principle alone could mean a variety of different things. We could go back to how we feel about people, how we feel about relatives, our childhood, our workplace, different relationships we've had in our life. It's up to us to put a meaning to it. It's up to us to put an emotion to the meaning. If you have bad experiences every time you go into work and you're always claiming, well, they're not very nice to me, they gossip about me, they think this about me, those are meanings that you're putting towards somebody else's feelings towards you. First of all, you have to let it go. You have to realize what your story is. Why do people treat you that way? And how are you reflecting this? How are you teaching people to treat you? Are you a victim? Do you come across as a victim? Are you an emotional wreck? Every time anybody says anything to you, you come at it with an emotional reaction, either crying or anger or fear, or you just close up and you don't express yourself properly. A lot of this is puts meaning to things in our lives. The only meaning anything ever has is the meaning we put on it. And it's generally a trigger from our past, and it's a trigger from our past memory with an emotion attached to it. We need to change our past memories. We need to change our reactions. What I find is easiest if I have a problem with a person from the past or I feel judgmental to somebody in the past, I'll sit back and go, I wonder what their real story is. I wonder why they were so mean to me that day. I wonder why they judged me. I wonder why they think this of me. How does this reflect maybe a story in their life? When you know it doesn't have anything to do with you, take yourself out of it and become an observer and wonder how can you change the story in your life so you're not reacting with your emotions. You're not getting angry, you're not closing up, you're not turtling. If you're afraid of conflict, then look at why you're afraid of it. We don't ever have to be confrontational. We can just come from a pace of calmness, perfecting the pause, and look at different situations from a totally different point of view. Maybe understanding that we don't know that other person's story that we have the conflict with, and then just let it go. Principle number 3. I am able to understand the differences between story and truth. I am result focused and I am to decipher fact from fiction, reality from non reality. What happened from the story I created about what happened so that I can live a life of freedom, peace, and happiness and achieve my desired results. So this is along the same line. I'm able to understand the differences between story and truth. So like we said in number 1, we have many, many stories from our past and our emotional reactions to our stories in the past. So how am I able to decipher the difference between a story and the truth? Well, that goes along to fact and fiction. That most of the things that we remember from our past, from our childhood, from our first marriage, our second marriage, from our teenage years, most of those stories are not true. Most of them are little glimpses of what happened to us based on the emotional reaction we were having. In many situations, two siblings in the growing up can have the exact same event happen to them. One takes it on as a positive and one has a negative emotional reaction to it. It was the exact same event. They just interpreted it differently depending on what emotional state they were in. If one was scared and they fell off the dock, then they take that as a fear or a terror, or their memory is somebody was being violent towards them or trying to hurt them. Where the other sibling on the dock as well could have been thrown in exact same time, exact same situation, and all they do is have fond memories of playing on the dock with their brother or their sister, and it was a positive memory because they were roughhousing around and they were playing, and all was well. So it's all about the difference between the story we create and what the actual truth was in the actual situation. Result principle number 4. My stories and beliefs are not real. My stories are not real. My beliefs are not real. Once I'm able to decipher what is real from what is not real, I am free to choose stories and beliefs that empower me so that I can achieve my desired results. This whole principle is about just letting it go. What does it matter? When we live in the past and all the things that happen to us, it creates depression. Creates sadness and a negative response, negative language, negative self talk. If we could just look at our past and go and reflect back at it and go, what did I learn from it? How am I a better person from it? How was I able to overcome it? How did that make me who I am today? Instead of playing victim and reliving the past events, every time we relive the past events, we're reliving the emotion when we have the memory of the event. You have to think about all the other stories and all the other players involved and what was going on with them. Why did they do it? Maybe they were trying to create us to be stronger or more independent. We don't know because we're only triggered to that one glimpse of the memory based on our emotional reaction. Result principle number 5. I say what I mean and I mean what I say. I release any resistance I have towards being vulnerable so that I can speak my truth and fully express my emotions. I openly, honestly, and authentically share my truth without censorship in a way that leaves others lifted and inspired. As a therapist, I find this one to be exceptionally true for a lot of people. Many people have worthiness problems, self-esteem problems. Um, they're afraid of judgment. They judge others. They're afraid others judge them. They're always afraid of what other people think of them or how they interpret them. I often say, quite honestly, nobody thinks more than 30 seconds about you because then they're back into their own self-talk and their own self-judgment. So don't worry about what other people think of you. So what happens when people have low self-esteem is they're not able to speak their truth. They're not able to say what they mean, say what they want, say what they need from others. So then they live in a life of turmoil and a life repressed from being able to live their truth and say what they want and what they need. We often teach people how to treat us, but if we never say what we mean, then how do people actually know where we're coming from or what we need or what we meant to say? And if you say things wrong and you didn't actually mean to say it, then correct yourself and apologize and say that's not actually what I meant. What I meant to say was this. Come from the heart. Come from the place of love and positivity. When you're trying to express to people how you feel or how you're trying to get your message across to them, the famous saying is use I. The minute you say you need to do this, you need to do that, you're already in the world of expectation, which is the world of disappointment, and people already have their guard up. Now they feel like they're being judged from you. So practice this one principle by saying what you mean and meaning what you say in actual truth. So if you say you're going to do something, I'm going to be there at 2:00, be there at 10 minutes to 2, and then you've lived up to your word. If you say you're going to do something for someone, and then you realize how much work it is, or that you don't really want to do it, or you don't know why you said you were going to do it, you have to follow through, or you have to call and be honest and say why you cannot do that. Your word is very, very important. And a lot of people don't believe that people value them on their word. If you don't keep your word, you become untrustworthy. People don't rely on you. They don't depend on you. They just simply don't believe you. Result principle number 6. I ask for what I want. I know that people can't read my mind, so I directly and politely ask for what I want in a loving and respectful way. This goes back to result principle number 5. If you do not ask for what you want, you're more than likely not going to get it. If all you think about is what you don't want, then that's probably what you're going to get, because the majority of your energy is going to go into what you don't want. Wayne Dyer, his entire career was on explaining to people, make sure you ask for what you do want and don't focus your energy on what you don't want. People cannot read your mind. They do not know what you want. People read into everything based on what triggers them. Then you react based on what triggers you. Then you sit there and your self-doubt wonders, why do people even care what I want? It doesn't matter. As long as you are clear and precise and believe, and when you're asking for what you want, you will get it. Be very careful you don't put your energy into other things, like what you don't want or how you don't want to be treated. Picture yourself how you do want to be treated, how you want people to view you. Picture how you feel inside when you're speaking your truth and getting what you want. This could just be happiness, love, unconditional love, respect. Whatever it is that your soul needs, make sure you ask for what you want. Be clear, be precise. You don't have to design how you're going to get it. You just simply have to feel what it feels like when you get it. Number 7. I continue to learn and grow. People do the best they can with the knowledge and the skill they have. I push through resistance and continue to learn and grow so that my best is constantly aligned with the results I am seeking. Wayne Dyer often gives this quote about how people at different levels of their life, some people, when they have a high school degree, they never read another. I think the number is like 90% of them never pick up another book again. When people have a college degree, maybe 20% of them pick up a book again and try to do personal development, personal growth. When people get into specialties like lawyers and doctors and specialists in their field, I think it goes to 40% of them read. But then it goes back to 10 to 20% of them only read on personal development and enhancing their lives and finding happiness and looking deeper. You know, the doctors and the lawyers, they will read everything about their profession, how to get better, how to know more, how to keep on the latest and the greatest technology has to offer. But how many of us continue to learn and grow spiritually, mentally? One of my favorite sites is Gaia.com. And on Gaia.com, there's a lot of really out there kind of views and different things. But what I love about Gaia, and I have most of my clients go on Gaia and all of my students with hypnotherapy professional college, because it shows you to get out of your box, to believe in everything. Everything is possible. Just because we were raised to believe that, things are one way and that you can only achieve this and that we live in a box and the world is flat, it doesn't mean it's true. So I try to help people understand, believe in everything, every possibility. Who's to say there aren't reptilians and bird people and other planets? And who's to say? Because we don't really know. So believe in nothing and believe in everything at all. And it will help you to learn and grow and expand your consciousness, expand your expectations. It will help you to float on another level of absolutely zero judgment. If you believe in everything and nothing at all, it's very difficult to sit back and judge anybody about their beliefs, about a system they believe in. If people have certain dreams, or they talk about visiting an alien spaceship, or they talk about astral traveling around the world, who's to say that they don't? Our consciousness is very complicated. Our minds are very complicated. So to sit back and judge someone and say they're flaky and they're weird is part of a judgment. And maybe that's a judgment of your fear. Maybe you're afraid that something bigger does exist out there. So sit back and wonder why you have judgment. And if you continue to grow and learn and seek out all of the information out there, different opinions and views of what everybody has to say, you'll find that you start to widen and broaden your views and how things work. And maybe you'll start to see things in the world in a totally different light. I know I've been seeking knowledge my entire life. Well, could it be this way? Why is it this way? Your meditation with intent is a very, very big way to be able to expand your mind and consider and travel to different places, at least in your mind, to see, is that actually possible? So start learning and growing. Coming onto the Hypnotherapy Professional College site and working on our workshops is a sign that you want to continue to learn and grow and expand and self-develop and get over your old vicious habits, the vicious circle of our behaviors and our emotions triggering our thoughts, triggering our emotions for fear, anger, shame, guilt. It doesn't serve us any purpose to live there anymore. So just let it go. Focus on being in the present moment. Focus on expanding and learning and growing and trying to understand the world around you. And then with understanding the world around you, you'll be able to understand yourself and your emotions. So congratulations. I think by going on to these workshops, you're already trying to live result principle number 7. Result principle number 8. My words are powerful. My words are powerful. They can brighten my day or bring me down, make me healthy or sick, lead me toward my goals or away from them, create resistance or results. From this day forward, I do not gossip, judge, blame, or complain. If I have nothing kind to say nothing at all. I strive to speak with love and compassion in all of my communications. I love this one. Result principle number 8. It is so true. And on our website, you can go ahead and watch the YouTube clip by Wayne Dyer, Marinating in Our Thoughts. Or you could go ahead and watch the other clip from YouTube, Dr. Emoto Experience, Hidden Messages. My words are powerful expands so much greater than what this one result principle can actually explain. So if we think about words, they can hurt us, they support us, they can slap us in the face, they confirm our self-talk, or they can expand us to a totally different level. Depending on what your love language is, if your love language is words of affirmation, words can simply fill your love tank, make you feel needed, make you feel loved. They can help rise you above to be able to complete and do anything. Or they can put you so deep into the rabbit hole that you find it difficult to get out. My words are very powerful. Understanding this should help us understand that we have to be very, very careful what words we use when we're talking to ourselves, what words are in our self-talk. I can't afford it. I'm broke. I'm not worth it. I can't find love. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not educated enough. Those are all negative words that will take you down to the negative rabbit hole. So try to start creating words around you that are positive and enlightening. I am capable. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know I can. I'm going to achieve this because I know it's possible. Feel it. Believe it. Say it. Be very careful that the words entering your subconscious mind and depositing down there aren't negative words. Because if we live in a negative world, we're going to have a negative life. Really focus on the words you use and focus on how powerful those words are. If you're fighting with your spouse, perfect the pause. Sit back and go, what am I really trying to express? What words am I going to use? Am I going to use words to trigger them, to hurt them, so that I win this argument? Those words are very powerful. And many people, those words, they can trigger them. So just think about a fight that you've had in your life with your spouse or your children. How do you end that argument? Do you end it with negative words? Do you end it with words that will hurt them, put them down in the rabbit hole, stop them from talking, stop them from speaking their truth? So from now on, just take in a deep breath, pause, and if you have to, just sit back and observe the entire situation that's happening and think about, how do I want this to end? Do I want it to end with anger, judgment, blame? Or do I want this to end with peacefulness and understanding? I want this to end with understanding where they're coming from, how it is that I've created this emotional reaction in them by triggering them. What is the story? Where are they coming from? Why am I even engaging in this fight? Sit back and just observe how you could handle it differently, coming from a place of love, understanding, place from the heart, without judgment, without trying to trigger them, with the actual belief in your mind that I can resolve this so peacefully with total love and understanding, and just let it go. We constantly bring in the past when we're using our words, so we have to be very, very careful what words we're going to use. Result principle number 9. I don't take anything personally. Other people's opinions, actions, and what they think about me is a projection of their view of the world. It has nothing to do with me. When I don't take anything personally, I'm free of resistance and have an internal peace. I don't take anything personally. Well, I think everybody takes everything personally. So what we have to do is we have to practice, imagine, and pretend at first, because our entire childhood development and our entire lives as kids, teenagers, young adults, older adults, has always been, how do I take things? If I didn't take anything personally, I wouldn't be the fighter I am. I wouldn't have survived my life if I didn't take anything personally, if I didn't fight back. Or we can go on the other hand, people who are submissive and are afraid to stand up for themselves and have no worthiness. They don't even feel like they have an existence or a place in this world. They take everything personally. When we walk into work and we're meek and we're shy and we're just waiting for somebody to accuse us or pull us into the office, with negative feedback and negative emotion, people accusing us of doing certain things, then we live in a world where we should be accused. If we don't take anything personally, we just let it roll off our shoulders. What it does is it tells the world, I'm not interested in your story. I'm only interested in my story and my personal growth. I'm not interested in your ego and you creating conflict and drama and manipulating me. I'm not going to play in the sandbox anymore. The sandbox is for people who want to not live in integrity and truth and honesty and want to use their words to hurt people. I'm no longer going to take anything personally. I'm going to stand back, take a deep breath, and be the observer. I'm not going to react by being triggered with my thoughts and my emotions. I'm just going to sit back, and I want my projection of the world to be positive with bright colors. And I'm not going to worry about other people's stories anymore. When we're worried about how people judge us, people only judge us based on what they're insecure about themselves. So, for example, in our self-talk and reframing level 2 course, one of the exercises is to sit in a park and feel and hear your thoughts about how you're judging other people. So, for example, oh my God, why would the person wear that? Oh my God, who did their hair this morning? Or, do they really think they need that to sit there and eat that McDonald's? That judgment that is coming from us, those thoughts that are coming from us, first of all, they're negative, but they're also a reflection of how we think about ourselves. If we weren't insecure about what we were wearing, we wouldn't notice what the person was wearing. If we lived a world of we dressed, to feed our mood, and we dress kind of eccentric and flamboyant with bright colors, then we notice and actually we applaud people who we see. Oh, look, they're wearing beautiful clothes and what a wild outfit. Oh my God, I love that look. Instead of going, what were they thinking about? I wonder, did they make their own clothes? Instead of judging where these people are doing, maybe we should applaud them for being different and not worrying about what other people think of them. So don't take anything personally. Sit back, and if you do take it personally, just sit back and think inward. Why am I taking it personally? What is this triggering me from childhood? What in my entire life, why have I felt not worthy? Why have I lived in guilt and shame? Why am I fearful of what the entire office thinks of me? Am I worried about losing my job? Am I worried about not being heard? Am I worried that my peers don't respect me? Am I worried that I'm the boss and nobody respects me? Am I worried people are stealing from you? Think and sit back and just review and feel what your thoughts are telling you, why you care what other people think, why you care what judgments are being bestowed upon you, why gossip even matters to you. Start to practice and live a life of no judgment, of not caring what people think, not taking anything personally at all, because in the end you actually know that it's not your story, that people only are reflecting their own thoughts and insecurities on you, and somehow you're feeling it and taking it on as your own story. Result principle number 10. Everyone has the ability to change. When I assume others will be or act a certain way based upon how they have been or what they have done in the past, I am in resistance. I rob them of change, of being the best they can be, of allowing them to step into the full potential. I stay open and create the possibilities for myself and others to recreate an amazing life. This one principle can change your life completely. It can turn the belief onto yourself. It can turn the belief onto others. Maybe people you haven't gotten along with in the past, or people you've had a falling out with. That if you still are mad at someone from the 7th grade because they bullied you and threw you in the lockers, and 30 years later you see them at the drugstore and you still think they're that same person, first of all, you've already robbed them of any possibility of ever getting to get to know you. Maybe they have changed dramatically. Maybe that person actually learned that they were a bully and they feel bad and they've lived in guilt and shame since then. Or maybe that person was abused, or neglected or abandoned by their own family, and they had no power at home, and then they used their power at school. Maybe then could we find empathy? Maybe then could we understand where they were coming from? Maybe if we understood their tragic story, we'd be able to give them a pass. We'd be able to go, well, maybe they can change. Recently, I have gotten in touch with a lot of people that I grew up with. And it's funny who's come into my life are the positive people, the people who only put positive things on Facebook, only email me positivity. And I have found it a miracle, that I lost touch with most people that I grew up with for 30 years. I've been traveling the world. I've lived all over the place. And I totally shed my skin of who I used to be, of my childhood. And then, my young 20s. Those were the days of learning my lessons, of living, of getting beat down a little bit, of learning what I needed to learn to be able to progress and move forward, and to have the complete understanding of that I believe in nothing and I believe in everything at all. I believe in the possibilities. I believe we create our own happiness. I believe our mind and body connection. I believe in all of it. So if people are viewing me from when they knew me when I was 7 years old and had a traumatic childhood, then we don't get to know each other as adults? Maybe we've both changed. We've both expanded. Maybe we could be super supportive and yet connected. So just understand everyone has the ability to change, even yourself. So forgive yourself of anything that you did in the past that you're not proud of, or any thoughts that you had in the past. Today's a new day, and today is the beginning of the rest of your life. All those sayings on Facebook, a lot of them are totally true. Today is the day you can change. You don't have to live in that rabbit hole and keep living in guilt of what you did or what you didn't do. A lot of people who have lived their life as victims had really traumatic childhoods. I work with a lot of them in my practice, and more than most I don't let that event that happened to me in my childhood define me. I let it go. The problem is they didn't let the reaction that they had after the event go. They did things maybe they felt shameful about. They said things or did things they felt guilty about. So they're still living in guilt and shame, even though they overcame what was done to them. They are not able to forgive themselves what happened after that and how they reacted. Maybe they didn't fight back. Maybe they should have yelled and screamed. Maybe they thought they brought it on themselves. Maybe they thought they condoned the behavior. None of this is possible. Because if we all live from a place of positivity and only want the best for ourselves and for others, we wouldn't want harm onto anyone else or ourselves. We don't deserve anything. Karma isn't the one with the big bat. Karma is just to help you learn your lesson. And when you don't learn it, it keeps coming back over and over and over again to try to teach you in a different way, in a different method. So keep that in mind when we go over everyone has the ability to change, even yourself. Very, very powerful and a great way to move forward in your life and get out of living in the past. Result principle number 11. I keep my commitments. Regardless of the resistance I may be experiencing, I do what I say I'm going to do. My word is law. I am a trustworthy person. This one is very, very important to me because I find that I do everything. I will move mountains to try to do what I say I'm going to do. Sometimes it might take me a little bit longer because sometimes I overcommit. But I really, really do try very hard to do what I say I'm going to do, to show up when I'm going to show up, to try to be on time. Because not only do I respect my own time, but I respect the person that's putting aside the time for me. If you constantly show up late or you're running late, this is ego. This is ego creating conflict and drama. This is your resistance and your pain body creating negativity towards you. If you have an appointment for noon and you show up at 20 after 12 and you only have an hour appointment, first of all, you've just made the person that you're showing up at the appointment having to rush now because they were there on time. Or you've just allowed yourself, maybe you were going to have an hour of time with someone to visit or to have lunch, and now you've robbed yourself of an hour. It has now been 40 minutes. And now you walk in and there's a negative energy towards you because that person's been sitting there waiting for you for 20 minutes. Sit back and pause and think, do I keep my commitments? If I make an appointment, do I show up on time? Am I present and available when I do show up? It's very, very important. If you say to someone, I'm going to show up and don't worry, I'll be there, are you that person that person can show up without a reminder, without a calendar, without anything to, as you're on your way, calling the person, are you coming? Are you going to be there? Are you that person that everybody just knows? They said they'd be there 3 months ago and they're going to be there. Are you that person? I think we should all strive to be that person because there's nothing more important than our word, than keeping our commitments. And I think resistance and feeding our pain body is what stops us. I love the saying, if I'm on time, I'm 5 minutes late. Because when we've made a commitment to be there at noon, we need to be there at noon. I mean, things happen, things get in the way, or maybe if the person you're meeting shows up late, maybe instead of getting angry, think back and go, how many times was I late for them? Maybe they just don't believe my word anymore. Maybe they know I'm always 20 minutes late, so therefore they didn't rush to be here right at noon because they knew I'm always 20 minutes late, so therefore they knew they had 10, 15-minute window to get here and still able to keep their commitment. Is that really how you want people to perceive you? Remember, change can happen instantly. Change as of today can happen in the moment and from this day forward. Don't beat yourself up for the past. Just change your circumstances and make sure you keep your commitments. Make sure that your word is law and that people can trust in your word and they can count on you. If you say you're going to do something or be somewhere, do whatever you can to do it, to be there. Things happen, send a text, give a call. Do whatever you can to keep your commitments. Result principle number 12. I clear up what is incomplete. No matter how much resistance I have towards completing that which is incomplete, I get complete in all areas of my life. I fix my material possessions that are broken. If I cannot fix them, I ask for help or I give them away. I say what has been left unsaid. I take responsibility for actions that hurt others, and I make amends. I clear up what is complete. This is one of my favorites. About 35 years ago, I read a book, and it talked about cleaning my attic. Clean your attic before you can begin. Make sure your house is in order. Well, way back then, I took it literally, and I made sure my house was spotless. I made sure all my cupboards had a place and everything was organized, almost in an OCD fashion. But I did make sure. And then as I grew older, I made sure that clearing my attic made sure that I wasn't carrying a suitcase behind me full of negative feelings, negative thoughts, guilt towards things I had done. I just accepted that that was in the past. I let the suitcase go. And I made sure that whatever and wherever I could do it, I behaved differently. I treated people differently. I tried to stop all judgment of other people. So that is part of clearing up what is incomplete. If you have a house that is always disastrous and there's paper everywhere and there's no organization and you can't find anything, maybe that's a reflection of where your mind is or how you live your life. And it's just the universe showing you, look around you, look at the mess, look at how disorganized it is. This is a reflection of the rest of your life. Try to organize it, simplify it, put things in order. Make sure you clean up what needs to be cleaned up in your life. If you have all these things that you haven't cleaned up, you haven't paid your taxes in 10 years, you haven't signed the divorce papers, you haven't called your kids in a few weeks, you haven't filed papers or done something you've been meaning to do for months, stop. Take a day, take a week, take 4 months if you have to clear up the things in your life so that you're not dragging them behind in a suitcase and they're not bogging you down and weighing you down. And then every time you're having a positive moment or you're experiencing joy and happiness, you get this overwhelming dark cloud over you of things that you need to do before you can be happy, things you need to do in your life before you can have a healthy relationship. I've had clients where they've moved into their parents' homes or their parents moved into their homes. And years later after their parents have passed, they are still living in their parents' furniture with their parents' pictures and memories of their childhood with their old 1950s bookcases and china cabinets up. And I say, what are you doing? You need to live your life for you. I'm pretty sure your parents didn't expect 20 years later for you still to be sitting on that couch with plastic on it. Move forward, create your own life, create your own path, bring into your life what makes you happy. If it's pictures or art or ornaments, or antiques, what makes you happy? What makes you feel that your home is your home? What makes it feel like you have a big hug around you? Make sure that that's what you bring into your life and clear out what doesn't make you happy. If you're living in your parents' home with their furniture, I think it's pretty obvious that maybe you should move your own furniture in. If you have no furniture, start slowly. Start bringing in things that make you feel like you have a warm hug. Make you feel like when you walk into your home, it's your home and that you're not just a visitor or you're just not still that kid that's living at home at parents' house when your parents are long gone. Clear up in your life what is incomplete. If you have an incomplete relationship with your children because you're afraid to tell them, that you love them or that you understand, or maybe you don't understand because you never put yourself in their shoes, clear it up, sort it out in your own mind. A dirty attic is your mind and your emotions and your thoughts and your memories, and they're all muggled in together, and it's so messy. Just start step by step. Why do I live like this? Why do I live in chaos? Why do I live by appointment? Why do I feel that I need to have every hour of the day filled up and booked solid? Just sit back and think, what do I need to clear up? Generally, you can just look around your house, look around your office, look in your closet, look around, and you will see clearly if there's chaos in some form or some corner of your own house, and then sit back and reflect, how does that reflect how I live my life? This is an interesting one. I'm sure a lot of people don't have a check mark on this one. If you do, you might want to reevaluate. This one is a journey, a lifetime journey of double checking. You're clearing up what's incomplete. Great. Result principle number 13. I am perfect just as I am. Even though my conditioned mind may resist this concept, I set those stories aside and know that there is nothing wrong with me. There is nothing to fix. I am whole, perfect, and complete, just the way I am. I may choose to make changes, but I choose because I want to, not because I have to. This one, when I do it in my live workshops, people have a lot of trouble with I'm perfect just the way I am. And when we dissect it, if you believe in God, we're made in God's reflection. We're made as God saw us. If you don't believe in God and you believe in the universe, then the universe saying is, I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be. Everything for me is to learn, to grow, to become more enlightened, to deal with what I need to deal with. So, I guess unless you're an evil person, you are perfect just the way you are. But let's look at if you're an evil person and you do bad things. This is a position you need to grow from. Let go of the past, get over the shame and the guilt, sit back and go, why do I do what I do? Why am I mean? Why am I evil? Why do I manipulate people? Mainly, it might be because you have low self-esteem, because maybe it's fear. Fear often shows itself as anger. So are you an angry person? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of losing your spouse? Are you afraid of losing your kids? What are you so afraid of? I'm perfect just the way I am. Sit back and be an observer. And if you don't feel that you've ever done anything good, then today's a new day and start to do things that you feel good about yourself, that you're proud of yourself. Start completing all the incompletes in your life. Clear your attic. Start looking within. Start reflecting. Start thinking about what are my old thoughts and what kind of reaction do I have when my old thoughts are triggered, when I go back to them. Do I feel angry? Do I feel sad? Do I feel abandoned? Do I feel unworthy? There's a lot of people that don't even feel like there's a place in this world for them, like they're not even supposed to exist. That's ridiculous, but that's their story. So they need to find a place where they feel needed, where they feel loved. And the only place to start is within. If you don't love yourself, then how can you expect anyone else to love you? If you don't see any good qualities about yourself, and then you wonder why you don't have that many good friends, or you're not in a happy relationship, or people don't love you unconditionally, you can't even see those qualities in yourself. So how do you expect someone else to see them? Sit back and think. If I want unconditional love, do I give it? Do I show it? Do I receive it and give it unconditionally? Or do I let ego creep in? And do I create conflict in people's lives? Do I gossip about people? Do I judge other people to make myself feel better, or maybe to make myself feel worse? Sit back and think how you're living your life. But just know you're created exactly how you're supposed to be created, because we're all here to learn a life lesson. We're all here to move forward. We're all here to go up on the conscious scale. Some go 5 points, some go 200 points. It's up to you what you choose to do with your life. You want to live your life in guilt and shame and sadness and living there on the energy scale of 75? Or do you want to see what's up there on the 400th level? Think about it. I often explain to my clients, as you're going through the spiritual growth, maybe you'll find yourself on the 400th, on a staircase on the 400th floor. And yet the vicious circle still makes you run downstairs to communicate with your boss, communicate with your friends, communicate with unsupportive people, communicate with your spouse. And so you're so busy running up and down the staircase. Okay, I spent 5 minutes on level 400. Now I got to run back down to level 100, and then I got to go back up to 400. The energy alone it takes you to bring yourself back up to a positive level is exhausting. So sit back and maybe be an observer again in your life and go, wow, why do I keep running downstairs to deal with these people in my life. They're not supportive. They're negative. They're judgmental. They gossip. They talk bad about everybody. If they talk bad about everybody, I know they're talking bad about me. So ask yourself, why do you work so hard when you get home to put a big blanket on, to learn, to grow, to seek knowledge, to be a better person? And then you keep going back to the same place, the same workplace with the same people, and you actually have to run downstairs, run back up. Just think about that for a moment. And you wonder why you're exhausted and unhappy. Think about, well, in order to change, I might have to face the unfamiliar. In order to change, I might actually have to start looking for another job. Maybe I educate myself so that I can find another job or a better job or a better paying job. Maybe I sit back and think, what would I like to do? My favorite saying in the whole world is, don't work a day in your life. Because when you do what you love to do, it's never work. I've tried my entire life to go on that goal, and I have not achieved it up until probably the last 5 years. Now I'm doing exactly what I want to do. I get to teach, I get to grow. It gets to be all about spirituality and therapy and helping other people's grow. I mean, I believe that my destiny in life is to put things in very simple terms for people, to help the rest of the world evolve into higher consciousness, whether that be 5 steps or 500 steps. Am I up there in 500? No way, right? But I do have the ability to simplify things on a very simple scale for people and help them maybe broaden their minds, broaden things out, maybe look around the corner, maybe have a bigger world tomorrow than they had today. If that's the only thing I ever do for one person in my life, that was what I wanted to do. That means that I don't work a day in my life. So I am perfect just the way I am. Think about that, and think about if you have any resistance when you read this. This is a big one in my workshops. Result principle number 14. I always do my best. I set resistance aside and do the best I can do with the wisdom I have now. I always do my best, and my best is always enough. My best can change from moment to moment, depending upon the state of my body and emotions and the degree of my knowledge. At all times, I simply do my best, and I avoid self-punishment, shame, guilt, and regret. I always do my best. I think this is what we have said in the first 13 principles. Do whatever you can to do your best. No matter what, your best is good enough. I set resistance aside, do the best that I can with the wisdom I have now. Maybe in 6 months you'll have more wisdom because you would have set out to learn something, to grow your mind, to expand your mind, to expand your consciousness, to get rid of some of the judgment you had weighing you down. Maybe you, in 6 months, for the next 6 months, you absolutely consciously will not gossip and will not be around anybody who gossips. Think about how your life might change. All you can do is what you set out to do. All you can do is the best you can do. A lot of people go, I can't do that. Well, if you can't do it, but you want to do it, imagine yourself doing it. Imagine how you feel when you do it. Pretend, imagine, use imagery. Go on to our MP3 section and download as many MP3s as you want. If you can't forgive, then use our MP3s for forgiveness. If you have so much fear surrounding yourself, we have more guided meditations on fear than I think anybody else that I've ever seen. So go ahead and face it head on and do the best you can do and get as much help as you can get. Like I said with Gaia.com, there's something for everyone on there to help expand your mind and grow your mind and evolve and get up to that 400th level and stay there. And instead of thinking, oh, I got to run back downstairs and then I'm going to come back up. When I have time, I'll be spiritual. You're not being spiritual. You live a life of acceptance with no expectation, no judgment, no guilt, no shame. You can look back on your life and go, well, that must have happened to me. And then I felt guilty about it because I responded in a certain way. I didn't fight back, or I did fight back, or I was bullied only because of what was happening to me at home. Sit back, forgive yourself, let it go. Nobody is living in that world but you. So many people live in the past. So many people beat themselves up for years, or they live in the past of what was done to them when they were 14 years old or 18 years old, and they cannot get past it. They cannot forgive it. That, until you forgive it, until you forgive yourself for not forgiving it, you can't do your best. All you can do is move forward and just say, tomorrow I'll do better. And if you have to start out by pretending and imagining and perfecting the pause and watching your life go by as an observer so you can kind of get the vicious circle you've been in, then do it. Nobody's telling you how to do this. I'm just trying to give guidance to tell that the 21 principles are a great way to start reflecting, great way to start looking inward. These are just 21 result principles that I can start putting into my life. And from there, how might my life change? How might I grow? What kind of different supportive people am I going to start bringing into my life? How will my job change? How will my wealth change? How will my relationship change? Always do your best. When I deal with clients, they'll call me about changing their spouse, changing their boss, changing their kids. I will not deal with that. I tell people the only thing I can do is help you work on yourself. And as you change, your situation will change and everything around you will change. Maybe everybody at work will quit. Maybe your boss will quit. Maybe you'll end up leaving your spouse. Maybe your spouse will see your shift and shift with you. Maybe your spouse has been the one that's having to run down 400 levels of stairs to come down and visit you, and they're getting tired of it, which is creating anger, which is creating fear. Maybe your spouse will see you changing. It will create fear of losing you, and maybe they'll start the whole 21 result principles of learning, of growing, of expanding, of accepting themselves, of releasing their guilt, of forgiving themselves and forgiving others. All you can do is your best. All you can change is yourself. And as you change yourself, everything around you will change. I believe that's a quote by Wayne Dyer somewhere in there. Result principle number 15. I live in the present moment. Living in the present moment offers me complete freedom and internal peace, free from worries and stress. Being present allows me to be free of my resistance so I can experience the beauty and the richness of life, enjoy each moment just as it is. This is a great principle. I mean, this goes right to Eckhart Tolle. This goes right down to the message that they've been trying to express out for years. The conscious shift is happening. Living in the past doesn't do anything for you. Living in the past only creates depression. Thinking about the future and creating it and designing it only creates anxiety. So how do we live in the moment? How do we pretend until we get there? We pretend to live in the moment by using mindfulness exercises. Question yourself, where are you? Here. What time is it? Now. Who are you? This moment. This is a great mindful exercise to ask yourself on a regular basis, am I living in the moment or am I living in the past? Do my thoughts keep trailing off to what my dad did to me when I was 15 or when I was 18, or how I would have lots of money but my dad blew it and went bankrupt, or my life would be completely different if my parents didn't get divorced. My life would be completely different if my parents had more money and I got to go to university or I got to live abroad. Stop. Your life is exactly what it is supposed to be. You're exactly where you're supposed to be in this moment. Stop trying to change it, design it. There's no regrets, because all your regrets have gotten you to the point where you're looking inward. You're doing self-fulfillment. You're pursuing happiness and contentment. You're getting rid of gossip and judgment and self-conflict. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. By living in the moment is evaluating, what are my thoughts? What is that feeling it's bringing up? And how do I release it? Like I said, go onto our MP3s. There's hundreds of them for you to choose from. Start there. Start talking to your subconscious mind. Start releasing what you haven't been able to release on your own. Maybe you didn't even know it was there. Forgive yourself. Today we move forward. Today we start pretending, imagining, and becoming this moment. It's as simple as that. The Power of Now. Great book. I recommend everybody read it. A little complicated until we can move through these 21 result principles. And if you've read it in the past, read it again after you've done some of these levels of workshops. Maybe you'll have maybe you'll hear something different because you'll be in a different place. A different emotion will come up in you. Maybe you'll hear a completely different message than if you read the book 5 years ago. I always tell people, read this book, and then they come back in. I go, what'd you get from the book? And they'll go, I already read that book. I read it 20 years ago. So you're absolutely no different. You have no different mindset than you had 20 years ago. Go back and read the book and see what new messages you get from it. Result principle number 16. My past does not equal my future. My future has not yet happened. As I change my thoughts and feelings in this moment, the actions I take are different, which alters my results. My past does not equal my future. This all stems from create what you want instead of what you don't want. Stop living in guilt and shame. Stop being afraid of moving forward. Stop being afraid that if you stand up for yourself and speak your truth, that maybe your spouse will leave you, or your job, or your boss will fire you, or whatever you're afraid of. Stop and think about, what do I want in my life? What do I need in my life? I mean, I don't suggest you go to work if you need your job and freak out at your boss, but start to shift. Start to change your energy. Start to change the way you behave. Start to teach people how to treat you differently. And if nobody will, you've surrounded yourself with an unsupportive group of people. Start looking outward. Start expanding your friends. Start expanding where you go work. Maybe join yoga, go to a different club. Expand yourself and start searching for people who are supportive and not judgmental. People you feel comfortable around. People you feel loved around. When you start to love yourself, I can assure you, the people that don't love you and judge you and condemn you will fade out of your life. They won't want all that happiness in their life. They will just move on to someone else that they can batter and abuse and trigger all the time. That's their ego. You will find that as you expand and you start to find happiness and contentment in your life, you will only bring in people into your life that are happy and content and joyful. People who actually want to help you and help you bring up the ladder instead of repressing you down and making you feel like garbage and making you feel bad. Your past does not even sort of equate your future. First of all, let's go to none of the stories in our past are even true. All of the stories we created are fictional, that we can recreate our stories from our past any time in our mind. And most of the stories from our past were connected to an emotion. So if we release that emotion, was falling off the dock really that bad? Maybe we can turn that dock episode into a really, really happy moment. And maybe we can go back and find love for our brother again, who actually was trying to play with us. And somewhere along the line, my emotions got in the way and I wasn't able to accept and enjoy. And then now I've lived my whole life like that. I don't let people in who want to help me, who love me. I don't trust. The saddest thing about going through life is not trusting anybody because something happened to you. If you don't trust anybody who's trustworthy won't come in. They will go, oh, well, they're closed up to trusting. It doesn't matter what I do. They'll never trust me. So, do you trust others? Do you treat people like you don't trust them? And then you turn around and go, why don't you trust me? Well, you got to wonder why they don't trust you, because you're not even open to the idea that you are trustworthy. So don't allow your past, don't allow what has happened in the past to define you for the rest of your life. Life's a journey. It's never, ever about the destination. Like I've said on many of my other workshops, the destination is death. I mean, we all die. So let's enjoy the journey of life. Let's see what we can get out of it. Let's see what we can learn, what we can experience, what we can feel. Imagine the possibilities of being able to be happy and content and just completely and totally peace. Maybe our entire life lesson, maybe our entire destiny in our life is to find happiness within, true contentment, that we're to find love within ourselves. If that is our only lesson in life, is that not good enough for people? I have lots of clients, they go, I know I have a great purpose. I know I have a great purpose. We all have a great purpose. Our great purpose is to not judge, to forgive, to let it go, to live in the moment. These are all our lessons. It's on every single show, yoga show, Buddha show. It's everywhere around us. Everybody is trying to get the conscious message out. The whole reason I've even done this workshop and this webpage was because a lot of people will go, I read the books you told me to read. I went on Gaia. I did this. I did that. I don't get it. I have absolutely no idea what those people are talking about. Fair enough. I've been on this journey for 35 years. There's tons out there that I don't know what's going on. There's tons out there that I need to sit back and go, wow, gonna need to expand my belief system a little bit wider for this. Oh, some people believe there's a federation up in space. Who am I to say there's not? I'm not the one that's gone up to this federation in space. Who am I to say it doesn't exist? I only believe as much as my mind expands out to believe. There's no reason that I cannot believe somebody else has been up there. Just because I can't see it, why is that I can't believe it? Nobody's ever seen God, but 85% of the planet believes in a God of some sort. They've never believed him, they've never talked to him, they've never seen him, but they do believe in their heart of hearts that he exists, which is fine. That's a belief system. So why can't they believe in everything? Why can't they believe in the conscious connection? Why can't they believe that the mind can heal the body, and that the mind, the body, and the spirit are all one conscious connection? So if we can believe all of that, then it's pretty easy to say my past doesn't equal my future. Because obviously we're doing workshops and we're self-developing and we're expanding our mind. Our past doesn't even exist as we move forward. Our past has only gotten us to exactly where we are today, so we can expand forward, so we can grow, so we can feel greater love, a deeper love. So forget about the past. It's gone. There is absolutely nothing you can do to change it. Forgive yourself. Let it go. Start living a life of creating new things in your life, new situations. Get out of the vicious circle and start expanding and thinking, absolutely no way am I going backwards. When people sit there, some people from my past will sit there and they'll go, remember this, remember that. Most of it's negative. I just go, I'm sorry, I don't remember anything. I do not live in the past. I do not remember anything from the past. I mean, I might remember 2 hours ago, but the past is gone. Hopefully I learned something from it, and I only move forward. And as you start to believe this, you will start to find the other people in the world that believe the same thing. And then the conversations get to be quite exciting. So let's look at result principle number 17. When I feel resistant, I seek support. When I feel resistant or need help, I ask for support, address my stories until they disappear, gain more knowledge, and continue to take action. What does this look like? Do I seek support from my naysayer, from my negative neighbor, from the coworker who I know judges and gossips about me and is totally jealous and is trying to bury me at work? No, that's probably not the person you want to seek support from. Seek support from your community. Find supportive people in your life. Find people who speak a supportive language towards you. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a sibling. Maybe it's a parent. Maybe it's a therapist. Whatever you need to do, seek support if you're finding resistance overwhelming you. Take workshops. Listen to workshops. Go to workshops. Go to community events. I throw a workshop once a month in Kalispell, Montana. Go and find a workshop that supports what you want to learn about, what you want to think about, where you want to be. You will find people at the same level that you're at when you go to these different events, when you start expanding your community, expanding your mind, when you start to look for the positivity in life, for the positive people, and you start to distance yourself from all the people that tell you you can't, you won't, you don't. Stop. Let it go. That's resistance that keeps pulling you back. When I feel resistance, when I feel like I want to go back into the negativity and the depression and the negative self talk, I need to stop, perfect the pause, see if I can connect it. Maybe I listen to a guided meditation about positivity, about my protective bubble, about happiness, about love, whatever it is. I need to stop and change the direction I'm moving forward into, because we're actually not moving forward into happiness. We're moving forward into the rabbit hole. So when we're passing the rabbit hole, we're allowed to look at it. We're allowed to wave at it. We're allowed to go, hi, nice to see you. I don't go down that rabbit hole anymore. You keep walking. You change direction. If the rabbit hole is on your right, go left. Give yourself permission to stop going down the rabbit hole. It's the past. It serves you no purpose unless you have a time machine and you can go back and change the past. All you can do at this moment is forgive the past. Many speakers talk about forgiving the past. It does not mean in any way, shape, or form that we condone what was done to us, especially if it was horrific or bad or traumatic or abusive. We don't condone it, but we need to forgive it. We need to forgive ourselves for fighting back. We need to forgive ourselves for not understanding the story. We need to be grateful that we became the person we are, maybe because of it. We need to grow past it, expand, and grow from it. If we live there, it defined us. It defined who we are and who we're going to be and how we're going to live our life. That is not where we want to be. We want to grow from our experiences. We want to grow from the journeys, from the disappointments, from the trauma. We want to grow from them and expand and become a higher consciousness, a higher person for it. We want to be that positive seeking person, the glass is half full person. And it's a journey. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. You have to change your habits. You have to change your belief system. When you come up against gossip, or you feel yourself judging, or you feel yourself blaming, or you want to go into victimhood, stop. Reframe it. Move forward. Let it go. Don't beat yourself up for having the thought. I mean, we're changing absolute child-embedded habits in us. Just forgive yourself and move forward. Oops. Cancel. Reframe. Cancel. Reframe. So when you feel resistance, seek support, community, friends, family. Don't go to the naysayers. They're not going to support you. They're going to feed your pain body and tell you how ridiculous it is that you're even thinking that you can change. Result principle number 18. I am a solution seeker. I view resistance, problems, and roadblocks as challenges and use them to leapfrog me to success. I strive to find solutions to whatever stands in the way of achieving my goals so that I attain my desired results. I am a solution seeker. I seek a solution. I don't sit there at home in my house with the doors locked and hope that something happens. I go out and seek it. I go out, maybe seek people that can help me. I seek a more positive community. I seek a different job. I seek different friends. I seek a different relationship. I seek a therapist. I seek workshops online to help me grow, to help me understand, to help me begin my journey. This entire workshop today is all about step one of working up the spiritual staircase. How do I begin? How do I understand it? 21 principles, they're great. And then my explanation will hopefully help you understand how we need, it's so imperative that we start looking inward. And don't get me wrong, the most terrifying thing any human being was going to do is change their habits and look within. A very small percentage of people on the planet are able to reflect and look inward and go, I forgive myself. I'm letting it go. I don't need to live as a victim. I'm not going there anymore. period. And your life will change. The farther you grow, the more solution seeking you do, the more workshops, the more learning, the more knowledge, the more supportive community you find. It's an action step. You cannot sit in your basement and hope somebody's going to walk through your door. I mean, I guess if you manifest it and you want it badly, somebody may just show up through your door. But it's going to happen a lot faster if you take an action step toward making your goal come true. Result principle number 19. I stay focused on my goals. I have results. I want to create my life. I take action to ensure I achieve them. If my action steps aren't going to get the results I want, I learn from my previous experiences and take a different action step to continue on my path to success. I stay focused on my goals. So what happens with this, which I've done it several times in my own life, is I have a goal. But sometimes I forget to check in on my goal. Is it what I'm expected to do? Is it an expectation that I have for myself? So when I really started the shift, I looked back and said, okay, my son has graduated university. I've reduced the expenses in my life. Now I get to take care of me. I mean, it's sad that I waited so long that I had to wait until my son was taken care of, but it all comes to me exactly when it's supposed to come to me. And I just said, I don't care about money anymore. I don't care about climbing up the corporate ladder. I don't believe that I have to work 7 days a week, 14 hours a day anymore to make this much money. I now believe in the universe. I now believe that it will come to me. I now believe that I get to do what I want to do for the rest of my life. And it's a point we come to in our life that, for me, I had to blow the entire thing up. I've had great jobs, great careers. I have wonderful friends. I've had terrible friends. So we all have to grow from it and learn from it and learn what we don't want in order to know what to ask for that we do want. We have to stay focused on what is important to us, what we do want, what we want to bring into our life. You must stay focused to have the results that you want. You must take action steps to get those results. A lot of people have a lot of guilt about, I didn't go to university, I didn't have the money to go to university, I'm not educated. University is only a way for employers to know that you have the ability to learn. I don't know how many of us have graduated university and remember every single calculation that we learned in physics or we learned in economics. Unless we go into the actual profession we went to university for, we actually don't remember anything that we learned in university. But the one thing we do have going for us when we're seeking employment is the employer knows they stuck to their commitment. They were able to commit to a 4-year program. They did it. They completed it. They got their certificate. And I know this person has the capability of learning, or at least I kind of know they have it. So that's it. That's your university education in a nutshell. So are there a million other ways to educate yourself, to get yourself known, to get yourself versed, to get yourself over that, oh, I didn't go to university, I'm not smart enough, I can't make more than $10 an hour? There's a million different ways to do it. You just have to open your mind and stay focused on what you want and allow the ideas to come in. Don't naysay them. Don't criticize them. Don't be negative. Don't let people around you to go, well, you'll never be able to make $20 an hour because you only have this and you only have that. Or you can only make $35,000 a year because I've never made more than that. Or why would you be able to make more than $35,000 a year? What have you got going for you? Get those people out of your life and get them away from you. If you happen to be married to them, then distance yourself. Be an observer. Refocus yourself back on you. You're going to have to climb back up those 400 steps again. So these are decisions you're going to have to make in your life while you're doing the shift. I'm not telling anyone, leave your spouse, leave your family. Do not in any way, shape, or form. Just grow and learn. And if it's not coming naturally, then just pretend until it does feel natural. Pretend until you change your belief system to believe that your goals are possible. Believe that you can get that job. Believe that you can move into that home. The secret, they talk about visualizing and believing. Greg Braden, if you believe it, you see it, you can have it. Everybody is giving the same message. Stay focused on your goal. To stay focused on your goal, you have got to believe what your goal is. You've got to believe it's achievable and you can do it and you deserve it. Don't try to design your goal. Just believe it. Just go, I don't know how, but I'm going to be abundantly wealthy. I don't know how, but I'm going to get the perfect job for me. I don't know how, but the perfect person to spend the rest of my life with is going to come into my life when I'm ready. I don't know how, but I'm going to get a new car. And picture yourself in the car, driving it, feeling it. I don't know how, but I'm taking the ideal perfect holiday for a month. I don't know how. Just see yourself on the holiday. It's funny because I went to a psychic, and the psychic was reading me and said, "You're going to go on a really, really long holiday, and it's going to be like a 6-week holiday. It's going to be in December, and it's going to be wonderful. You're going to get lots of things from it." And it was years. Right, I kind of forgot about it actually, and I thought, well, the only way I'm going to get to go on a holiday, and this is back in my naysayer days, is that if somebody dies or I inherit something or I win the lottery, because there's no way I'm going to be able to take a 6-week holiday. First of all, be able to afford it. I'm not going to take a holiday unless it's warm, and I had all these conditions and these designs how it wasn't going to happen. Well, it was funny because last Christmas, which would be last December, my husband and I just decided we're road tripping it. We took our truck camper, our truck, hauled our motorbikes behind, and it was freezing cold in the state of Montana where we lived. And we said, okay, well, we will not stop. We will take turns driving until that temperature goes above freezing. So until that temperature hit 60 degrees, we are not stopping. We headed directly south. We ended up in Vegas, San Diego, Tombstone. We went on a 6-week journey of doing nothing. But it was amazing. We went and saw our son. We went and saw friends. We went and saw different monuments and different national parks. Totally different than any other holiday that we have ever had. I mean, normally we go to Mexico or you go to Hawaii, or so it was totally different. And then we're sitting there on this trip, and I'm like, wow, this was predicted. And I had a million reasons why this wouldn't happen, or why it couldn't happen, or why I wouldn't have enough money. It wasn't that expensive. We had more than enough money. We were able to move our schedules around so we could take 6 weeks off. And it just happened. It naturally and organically happened. I believed I was going to go on the trip, but not because the psychic told me. I just believed I need a break. I need to recoup. I need to refocus and bring up my creativity and take a rest, and at the same time do something totally different. And that's what happened. But I stayed focused on my goals, and it happened. So believe it, don't believe it, expand it. Believe in psychics, don't. I mean, I do, of course, because I'm married to one, but believe what you want. Believe what and where you want to believe, and believe it and feel it. Result principle number 20. I aim to empower others. We are all one. What do I do to another is what I do to myself. When I help others get what they want, I get what I want. Innate within me is the desire to make a difference in lives of others, to create results. For me to reach my fullest potential, I must help others reach their fullest potential. If they fail behind or fall behind, I fall behind. If they succeed, I succeed. If they get results, I get results. Wow, pretty powerful result principle. This is how I changed my entire life. I spent most of my career working in corporate, selling, brand development, key negotiation. And really the only place I was ever happy was when I was teaching people how to achieve, when I was teaching people how to look at something differently. If I was selling pork, I put together a pork report. This is why we need to have a pork market. This is why the pork report is so important. This is why pork prices are so important. I would explain to the people selling the pork for me why the pork prices went up and down, why it was important to get a locked in contract. So I would give classes, and it was called the pork report. I just made it up. It wasn't from the pork business, but I understood the importance of people understanding the big picture. And with the big picture, my sales catapulted by teaching people why and giving them the big picture other than just do it because you have to, because that's your job. It empowered everybody. Everybody made more money, more commissions. The restaurants and the hotels we sold to, they saved money by locking into a price. It's all about education and understanding and helping people understand why. When I was in the medical skincare business, my greatest thing was to go into different spas and salons and medical facilities and teach staff why they wanted to sell the medical skincare, why why their clients needed it, how it would help their clients. They didn't even really, of course, some of them did understand, but many of them didn't understand that we're going to these medical spas because we want to feel better. We want to look younger. And if you can give me a program to help me on a skincare that makes sense and it makes a difference and I can see results, I'll do it. They were always so worried. Well, it's $200. What if the monthly package is $200? Well, most people who are walking into medical skincare clinics are expecting to pay way more than $200 to be put on a program. So I put together sales programs for the staff to teach them. If you empower other people to achieve their goals, you then will reach your goal. You'll make the money you want. You'll shine with your boss. Maybe you get a promotion. Maybe you move on to a better job. Maybe you move on to owning your own salon. Maybe you have your own clientele. None of it matters. But I've had my entire career has always been in sales, brand development, and it really kind of hit me one day. I've always turned every single one of my jobs into teaching, into facilitating, and into helping people empower themselves, to empower other people, to understand the big picture, the whys. Why do they need to know? How do they need to know? How can I help people? So empowering others creates results in both their life and empowers you in your life. The more you understand something, the better you can teach it. Wayne Dyer also often talks about or Tony Robbins, I can't remember which one it is. Once you've read 10 books on a subject, you are actually now a professional in that subject. You are actually now the expert in that subject. So it's why we go to lawyers. It's why we go to doctors, because they've read more than 10 books on the subject, or we hope they have. Anyway, to empower others is to empower yourself. To show people and share your knowledge with others to help them achieve their goals and help them educate themselves is to empower yourself. This PowerPoint is one of them. I've spent years researching and growing and searching for happiness and joy, and I'm a therapist and I help clients. So now I have found a tool that I'm able to go out and help others to understand, to look within, to grow. What does it mean? How do I start working up my way up the stairway of spirituality or consciousness? How do I grow out of my box? How do I get out of my vicious circle? It's exactly what this level 1 workshop's all about. How to begin. Result principle number 21. I choose results. I either have resistance or I have results. I am more powerful than my excuses and my reasons. I choose results. I am the master of my reality. I choose results. If you do not choose results, you choose not to have any. If you do not believe you can grow and learn and become a different person, you won't. If you don't believe you deserve to be happy, you won't be. If you don't believe you deserve to have a happy, loving, communicative relationship, you won't have one. I choose results. I choose happiness. I choose love. It is up to you to make the first move. It's up to you to believe you deserve it, to go ahead and make the action steps to have it happen, to go ahead and educate yourself so that you learn more about it, more about the situation. If you're a judgmental person or you don't believe in anything outside of your box, maybe you choose to expand the idea that maybe you can believe in greater things. Maybe you can believe in more than meets the eye, but you must choose the results. You must choose to move forward. You must choose not to live in the past as of this moment, as of this day going forward. You must choose to consciously stop remembering the past. And if you can't do it without help, seek help. Go ahead and listen to the MP3s. Go ahead and do guided meditation. Find regular meditation. Whatever will help you move forward, do it. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money to do this shift. It only takes taking the shackles off and stop blaming yourself. Stop your belief system from childhood. I mean, if you're my age, I'm in my late 40s. So basically, my childhood was developed off of my parents who were raised in the 50s. Theirs was developed off their parents that were raised in the 20s. So actually, my belief system has been developed from the early 1900s. When we're in the 21st century, how on earth could I still believe in their belief systems? There's no way you could possibly believe in it. Anyway, choose results. I hope you enjoyed our workshop. Please go ahead and download some of the exercises under resistance to results, and I will see you in level 2, self-talk and reframing. Exercise 21, result principles, an explanation. Now that you've completed listening to the principles, go back and review where you put a check mark and an X and reevaluate if you're really truly living these principles where you put a check mark. Who cares if you put a check mark and now you're putting an X? Nobody cares. This is your personal journey. It's all about you. It's all about working on yourself and growing and understanding and learning. This is a process. Go ahead and evaluate the principles you listed and go ahead and evaluate the principles where you felt resistance when you read them. You heard yourself talk by judging or making excuses when you read the principle. None of it matters anymore. Just go ahead and learn from this exercise. There's a PDF you can download with all of these 21 result principles. You can print off so you can have it on your desk, at work, at home, wherever you want. Or you can leave them on your computer. And there's also a couple of different exercises that you can download as well that you can work on to evaluate, to hear what you're saying. Self-talk. Anyway, again, thank you very much for joining me for this last hour and a half. I hope you enjoyed level 1, 21 result principles, and I look forward to seeing you in level 2, self-talk and reframing.